Chapter 24. Let the game begin.
The San Francisco crowd were enthusiastically applauding Team Galactic as they entered the gaming enclosure, but suddenly the stadium became eerily quiet as Aziza, now dressed in a bright purple and white summer dress, was seen approaching them accompanied by her camera crew. The team were equally shocked, but they quickly rushed forward to embrace her with compassion, not knowing the right words to say. Aziza then said tearfully,
"The camera and sound are not turned on, so we don't have to worry about people hearing us. I just didn't want you to go into this final game feeling sad." You may find this hard to believe, but about an hour ago, I saw Abe smiling down at me from tonight's beautiful starlit sky, and he gave me a wonderful message to share with you. Because he said, "You all know Storyteller."
she then asked with a tremor in her voice.
You do know him, don't you?
"Yes, we do,"
replied an amazed Lotus.
That's good to hear.
She replied with a relieved voice.
Because I wasn't aware that Abe and yourselves had also met him until I heard his message tonight. It's wonderful to know that I haven't imagined him speaking to me, because his words were so comforting and beautiful to hear.
Her relief prompted them all to give her another hug, and then she said,
Abe wants you to know that he wishes you all the very best for your final game. Most importantly, though, he emphasized how crucial it is for all of us who have been written into Storyteller's book to be shining examples to the world that it is possible for people from all cultures to unite as one.
Lotus held Aziza's hand and said comfortingly,
"I can tell from the colors of your aura that he also said he loved you very deeply."
She replied with tears rolling down her cheeks.
Yes, he did say he loved me. He also said, though, that everyone who interacts with this book and movie are special, as they all share the same greater purpose in life, which is to save our planet. I now understand that his sacrifice wasn't just for me, but it was for the world to know that we can all rise above our negative beliefs. That's why I'm here now, to continue what he started.
And as she prepared to face the camera, she said with a smile,
Keep remembering, you are only playing a game tonight.
As soon as her camera was turned on, the crowd erupted, applauding loudly for Aziza's bravery, as her face filled the stadium and TV screens once again. She then waved to everyone and said,
Did I ever tell you, San Francisco, that I love you? Because I surely do, with all of my being. And I want you to know that Abe also felt the same way. He loved the vibrant energy of our city and its people. And do you know what he loved the most? He loved the wonderful support and love he received from all of you.
The crowd all stood up respectfully as one, and chanted Abe's name, and an emotional Aziza then gratefully acknowledged them with tears filling up her eyes.
I know that he wants me to see this through on his behalf, because I can feel him looking down on us now, anxious to see which team is going to be crowned winners of the greatest game on Earth. But we already know that, don't we?
This time a deafening chant of Galactic could be heard, that brought back a not-so-distant memory of an excited Abe punching his fist in the air as he orchestrated their voices with great passion. Instantly, Aziza had transformed the mood of her huge TV and stadium audience, from despair and sadness to hope and joy. She had also lifted the spirits of Team Galactic, who now waved to her as they prepared to enter the gaming hubs.
Be courageous and feel no fear.
She called out to them.
And don't forget to remember, you are only playing a game.
And the crowd added their support by chanting, "Remember, remember." Aziza then slipped into her professional commentary voice to say,
As you all know, this final is different because all 4 players from both teams will be playing simultaneously together. I have been told that both Team Galactic and Team World Control have achieved similar game levels, so all players will not only battle directly against each other, but will also be able to choose other dangerous obstacles for their opponents to overcome. This has raised the game by another notch because they not only face the many terrifying challenges devised by the game, but also other difficult challenges being created by their opposition. We will cross over in a moment to the gaming enclosure, where you will be able to see inside the gaming hubs as our revered gamers check their equipment and prepare for battle. This is a tense time for everyone because they have been working up to this moment for months, and now the final game, at long last, is about to commence.
She then received a direction to sign off, and so she said excitedly,
Well, it looks like it's time for me to say goodbye. I look forward to coming back to you when the winner of this epic competition has been decided. And until then, enjoy the game and send your thoughts of love to our very own Team Galactic, who have been doing us proud.
The crowd went wild as the screens showed all 4 players in their individual gaming hubs, adjusting their helmets and getting comfortable, while officials ensured that all their systems were working. An air of apprehension could be felt as the screens then revealed Team World Control, going through the same procedures, amid a similar level of thunderous applause and excitement from their fans in the Moscow stadium. The San Francisco crowd had been appalled with the Russian team after watching them being interviewed about 15 minutes prior to Aziza entering the gaming enclosure. They had been scathing in their remarks about Team Galactic, calling them a mongrel team of misfits, thrown together because no one else would have them. In addition, they mocked and ridiculed FemPower and Lotus, saying they should stick to cleaning and cooking, instead of playing games designed for real men. As for Game Changer and Zotin, they threatened to scare them to death, because they hadn't evolved enough to match the superiority of their own race. In contrast, a very short interview had been given by Team Galactic, who were still looking a little shaken by the attack in the stadium. When they were asked what they thought about the insults from the Russian team, Lotus replied with a smile.
We all play the game in our own ways and we respect their right to play it as they wish. We don't bear them any grudges because after all, it is only a game.
The team had all smiled and nodded in agreement to her gracious response, but then quickly excused themselves from the interview because they were about to leave for the gaming enclosure. The 2 interviews highlighted a huge mindset difference between the 2 finalist teams that would make this undeniably a game of opposite forces, and the whole world knew it. Suddenly there was a hush in the stadiums situated all around the world, as their gaming screens went blank and floodlights were dimmed, immersing them all in darkness. Out of the stillness, a metallic robotic voice resonated loudly from the stadium speakers saying,
"Let the game begin."
And the screens lit up, revealing all 8 gamers intensely focused on their first challenge. It was fast, it was furious, and it was frightening, and already both teams found themselves trying to outski an avalanche of snow that furiously followed them down the treacherous mountainside. The San Francisco crowd went wild as they saw Team Galactic launch themselves off the mountain above a ravine, quickly opening the parachutes that were strapped to their backs. As they looked down, they could see Team World Control looking terrified as they were eventually engulfed by the mountain of snow that continued to gain momentum as it slid and tumbled down the steep slope. The gaming screens then dimmed to black, and then 4 small white dots appeared, growing gradually brighter, indicating that they had not survived, and were now reincarnating. Team Galactic had wisely chosen parachutes as their first weapon of defense, and now were 1-up in the game. However, just prior to the start of this final game, both teams had been informed that as an added challenge, they would now also experience the emotions of their opposition during pathway dilemmas. Although this wouldn't be to the same degree of intensity, it would be enough to disturb them. Watching Team World Control being crushed by snow unquestionably affected Team Galactic, and it was only when they remembered it was a game that they overcame their feelings of horror and empathy. Time kept passing by, and after a grueling 2 hours of fierce battles, the world was still sitting on the edge of their seats, enthralled by this nail-biting competition, because the 2 teams were deadlocked. Team World Control had recognized, though, that Team Galactic surprisingly showed compassion for them whenever they had experienced panic from any challenges. They saw this as a weakness, which they thought could possibly be used to their advantage, to hopefully draw them into making a crucial mistake in the closing stages of this final game. Billions of people were now glued to their screens, because the next challenge would decide who would be the winners of the greatest game on Earth, as both teams had achieved the same extreme game level, with only 1 life remaining for each. The world suddenly became totally shocked, as Team World Control surprisingly created the next pathway dilemma by displaying fear for no apparent reason at all, and now they were screaming frantically for help, having secretly activated their sympathy defense weapons. These were designed to invoke compassion and indecision from the threat, which would momentarily stop the attack, giving just enough time for the gamers to remember that they were in a game. They were confident that with this defense, they could extricate themselves from the danger of any challenge, and so they now laid an elaborate trap for Team Galactic, knowing their susceptibility to feeling the pain of others. This was a crucial time, because everyone watching knew that all Team Galactic had to do was to avoid being pulled into the challenge, and if the Russian team was unable to remember in time, they would be declared winners of the competition. A black murky mist now cloaked Team World Control, becoming denser and denser, as it gradually started choking the air out of their bodies and making their eyes seep blood. They had totally underestimated this challenge, because regardless of how desperately they screamed using the full power of their sympathy defense weapon, the attack didn't ease up, and now they could feel their bones being crushed inside their bodies. They were terrified and were feeling an extreme fear, unlike any other they had ever known. Suddenly the murky mist surprisingly lifted from them, as its attention was drawn to Team Galactic, who had magically appeared firing ray guns directly at it. The mist in response instantly became darker and thicker, as it angrily shrouded and overpowered them with poisonous gases, until eventually the screens dimmed black and no white dots appeared. The game was over and Team World Control had won. The world was torn between jubilation and disbelief, as the screens now showed concerned medics and officials, opening the gaming hubs of the Russian team, who appeared motionless. They carefully unstrapped them and removed their gaming helmets, so that they could lift them out. Once outside, they were quickly examined and oxygen masks were fitted to each of them. Meanwhile, Team Galactic could also be seen emerging from their gaming hubs, with smiles on their faces, as they waved to their adoring fans, who although disappointed gave them a tumultuous ovation. They were all quickly joined by Arif, Teresa and Deepak, and as they put their arms around each other, they looked up at the largest screen, showing deep concern for what was happening. The crowd were silent, as they watched medics frantically working on Team World Control, and then a ripple of applause broke out, as Nuke showed signs of regaining consciousness, quickly followed by Scythe, Combo Power, and Annihilator. All stadium crowds around the world were now on their feet, giving them a standing ovation as they watched them sit up, and gradually become aware of their surroundings. After a few minutes, they were then helped to their feet, and as they slowly walked towards a stage that was crammed with game officials and celebrities, the Moscow fans went wild with their applause. The sound was deafening as they made their way up the stairs, towards a wall of microphones positioned in the center of the stage. Team Galactic, who had also been applauding their opponents, were then escorted towards a similar-looking stage that had been set up in the San Francisco Stadium. Adoring fans once again chanted their name with enormous pride, because they now understood the reason why they had intervened in that last challenge. There were also dignitaries, celebrities, and game officials waiting on the stage, who all applauded them loudly when the team started climbing the steps, waving and smiling to their thousands of fans. Finally, the climax to the greatest game on Earth had arrived, and even though there was an unexpected and for many a disappointing twist to the final challenge, everyone was still celebrating this epic competition that had taken the world by storm. Graham Charlton, chairman of Game On International, an incredibly successful company that had not only developed the greatest game on Earth, but was also the promoter of this amazing global event, stepped up to the microphones in the Moscow Stadium and shook hands with Team World Control. He was a tall, athletically built man with deep blue eyes and long light brown hair that was swept back and tied in a short ponytail. He wore tight-fitting blue denim jeans and a white t-shirt, emblazoned with their Game On company emblem, and it was obvious he worked out regularly, because he looked the picture of fitness for a man who was in his late 40s. Confident in his manner, he asked the customary question into a microphone that had just been set up for him.
Can you hear me?
And crowds around the world responded with an enthusiastic yes.
Good to hear.
He replied with a smile.
And before we go on any further, I would like to introduce my company chairman, Stephen Bright, who is now with Team Galactic in the San Francisco Stadium. How's it going, Stephen?
We are going great, aren't we?
He asked the enthusiastic crowd, who responded with a deafening chant of Galactic, Galactic. Stephen, who was also wearing blue jeans and a white company t-shirt, was a short, jovial man in his early 40s, round-faced and going bald. He laughingly said into his microphone,
As you can hear, they are very parochial here, as I know they are over there.
The Moscow crowd, upon hearing this, erupted into their own thunderous chant of World Control, World Control, World Control. Graham shared in their excitement and then said,
As you know, $100 million will be shortly paid out to our winners of this competition, but what you don't know is that we have also raised the runners-up prize money to $20 million. Both our finalist teams have already won about $7 million each as they have progressed through the rounds, and tonight their prize money will make them even richer. So, what do you think about that?
He called out proudly, and the world celebrated, because this game had not only been life-changing for the competitors, but also for over 1,000 fans who had now become millionaires. A camera then zoomed in on Stephen, who said with a solemn voice,
Unfortunately, our game has experienced some sad moments, with the tragic deaths of 37 brave gamers in the preliminary rounds, and now 9 of our gamers during the finals. Regrettably, many others have also been hospitalized. We want you all to know that although we can't bring them back, our company is supporting all their families financially and emotionally.
Once again, the world applauded the generosity of Game On International, and he then continued by saying,
Just prior to launching our global party, we will be screening a short memorial of their lives so that we can remember their excitement, enthusiasm and courage as they played the greatest game on Earth. Together we can give them a magnificent send-off to their next adventure in life.
Crowds in every stadium then stood up as one, and gave a standing ovation for his words and sentiments. At the same time, Team Galactic looked at each other, also surprised by his choice of words because they aligned very closely with their newfound knowledge. Graham then said,
I see that you have our friend, Aziza Donnelly, standing next to you.
And Stephen replied,
Yes, I have asked her to come up, because the whole world has heard about the tragic death of her CBS commentary partner Abe Cohen, who we also knew as a friend. Our heartfelt sympathy goes out to you, Aziza, as well as to his family, friends, and fans.
This time the huge gaming screens simultaneously split into separate visions of crowds, standing and clapping respectfully, in 20 capacity-filled stadiums around the world. Aziza watched in amazement before she looked directly into the camera and said,
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Graham. And I thank all of you who I have just seen standing up for Abe from countries all around the world.
Her words then started to flow from her heart that had been opened and no longer contained fear.
You are beautiful and I love you all.
She then wiped a joyful tear from her eye and said with passion,
How wonderful has this competition been for the world? It has been amazing to see how billions of people from every nationality can play a game together. We have laughed, cried, celebrated, and commiserated with each other, and somehow I think we now have a closer world.
Aziza's words were translated all around the planet, and this time the crowd stood up enthusiastically and cheered, not only for her but for each other. Stephen was also applauding as he thanked her, and he then said,
I think it is time, Graham, for you to announce the official winner of the greatest game on Earth, because the world has been waiting very patiently.
Graham quickly answered with a smile.
You are right, Stephen, and I will do that right now.
He paused for a moment to look out to the huge crowd, and then announced with a powerful voice,
People of this planet, it gives me great pleasure to declare that the inaugural winners of the greatest game on Earth is none other than Team World Control.
Immediately the Moscow stadium came alive, with flare bursts and fireworks, lighting up the sky with every color imaginable. The response around the world was understandably mixed, but the screens showed the Moscow crowd celebrating with wild abandonment. In San Francisco, the crowd was subdued, but when they saw Team Galactic enthusiastically applauding, they began to join in, which rapidly grew in volume, becoming contagious, until every stadium was cheering wholeheartedly, not just for the winners, but for the game that had captured everyone's imagination. The members of Team World Control looked embarrassed as Graham excitedly asked them,
How are you all feeling now that you have won the greatest game that our world has ever known?
It was Said who then dropped a bombshell by replying with a serious voice.
We cannot accept the champion's title because everyone knows the true winners are Team Galactic. If they had not come to our aid in time, we would not be standing here now. We are very thankful they saved our lives and happily relinquish the title.
The world was stunned as Graham asked them anxiously,
Do you all agree with that decision?
And they answered with one voice.
Yes.
Kamo Power then added,
As a team, we wanted to prove that aggression and ruthlessness is much more powerful than any other force. We felt stronger when we were angry, and we enjoyed dominating other teams by making them fear us and our abilities. Because of our beliefs, we played a calculated game risk in the last challenge, because we thought that the compassion shown for us by Team Galactic during the game was their weakness. Thankfully, it was through their compassion that we are alive now, and for that we salute and give them honor. They were more concerned about our well-being than winning the final, and all we can say is that the power of love they showed to us tonight has proved to be their greatest power of all. In our minds, they are heroes, because they could have also died rescuing us.
Every single person, in every stadium and in front of every computer screen, applauded passionately not only his words but the wonderful and unexpected humility shown by Team World Control. Graham then warmly embraced them all, one by one, and then asked them once again.
Are you sure about this?
And Nuke replied,
We surely are, and we would like the honor of declaring them winners.
You are most welcome to.
He said, surprised, yet delighted by their request. And then Team World Control, with their arms around each other, stepped up to the microphones and said together,
The winner of the greatest game on Earth is Team Galactic.
The world went wild, and this time the San Francisco night sky was lit up by exploding fireworks, as people from all corners of the planet chanted Galactic, Galactic, Galactic. An elated Steven invited the team to join him center stage and asked them excitedly,
How are you all feeling, now that you are the official winners of the greatest game on Earth?
A shocked Zoltan was the first to reply.
We would first like to thank Team World Control for their sportsmanship, graciousness, and kind words. And we are so relieved to see that they have recovered from their terrible ordeal. It is naturally a great surprise to us that we are now the winners of this exciting game, but we are thrilled to be receiving this enormous amount of prize money, because we intend to use it to help our world.
Steven was taken aback and asked,
In what way?
And Zoltan replied,
I believe our manager, Arif, will be able to explain it better. But before I hand you over to him, I just want to say that our manager, Arif Kabani, publicist Teresa Williamson, and international merchandising manager Deepak Singh, are as much a part of our team as we are, and collectively we made a decision that whatever money we won in this final game would be used for the good of our world.
Billions of people were amazed that they would be giving away their $100 million, and so they now listened intently as their manager stepped up to the microphone and said with a huge smile,
First up, I would like to thank Game On International for staging this incredible global event. It has been a fantastic success, and to the company founders Stephen Bright and Graham Charlton, we commend you for developing such an amazing game that has appealed to people of every age group and excited the minds of us all. At no time in history has there ever been an audience as large as this one that is now watching this live broadcast.
The enthralled crowds that packed out the 20 gaming stadiums all started cheering loudly and enthusiastically, which was quickly acknowledged by Stephen and Graham with huge smiles and animated waves of their hands. Stephen, still sensing that something big was about to be announced, eagerly asked,
Thank you, Arif, for your kind words, but can you tell us, because we are all dying to know, how you are going to use the prize money?
Arif then beckoned all the team to join him and said with a very passionate voice,
We recently met a man called Storyteller who conveyed dire warnings to us from many of our revered prophets and messengers of God that our planet is facing imminent danger of being destroyed by ourselves through the foolishness of war, pollution, and senseless greed. Millions, if not billions of you, will soon be aware that this is the truth, because many of us are being written into a book called The Greatest Game of All to help save our world. If you can hear my words now, then be rest assured that you have been spoken to and your name is etched in the book.
He then called out a little tentatively,
Hopefully there are many of you now who hear what I am saying.
And millions replied, yes. He then smiled because he knew he was now being helped by the illumined ones, and so he continued with confidence.
This book reveals to us secret hermetic teachings from ancient Egypt that were passed down to only a selected few in each generation for thousands of years. It was deemed throughout this time that people would never understand that life is just a game. But incredibly, we have found that the greatest game of all is very similar to the greatest game on Earth, but much, much bigger.
In the Moscow stadium, Graham had become very excited, and he jumped in to say,
Hey Steven, isn't that amazing? Because it was a guy who called himself Storyteller, who gave us both the brilliant ideas for this game. Remember, initially, we thought it would be impossible to create, but somehow, it all miraculously came together.
I certainly do,
replied Stephen.
And we never even know how we met him, because he just appeared, and then left.
The world was now extremely intrigued by this conversation, and even more so, when Lotus said with wisdom,
The reason for that is because he wrote both of your characters into his book, and that is why it has become reality. We are all living inside his game, which is inside the greatest game of all.
A worried-looking Power from Team World Control then asked,
Does this mean that everyone who has met Storyteller is not real, and is only a character in his book, because he had also spoken to us some time ago about life?
Game Changer laughed and said,
Don't worry about being real, my friend. Just think back to the game and remember how you felt on that last challenge. Did that feel real to you?
And then everyone in the Russian team nervously agreed. A perplexed and slightly angry Annihilator then added,
It is very strange because we only met Storyteller for a few minutes, but I remember him telling us that one day in the future, we will learn what true strength is. That future definitely came to us tonight, but he must have purposely put us through that ordeal, because he wrote it into his book for us to suffer.
Fempower then quickly explained,
No, that's not how it works, because we are all free to do as we wish. We are actually helping him to write his book, from the choices we make and the actions we take in our lives. We are all very real because we are the authors of our own life stories that are being revealed in Storyteller's book.
Smiling his huge grin, Game Changer then said to everyone,
If you want a reality check, then listen to this.
And he shouted out with his loudest voice,
Are all of you people out there real?
Millions upon millions of book readers and cinema-goers, including internet and stadium game fans, then shouted back, Yes, we are. He then chuckled as he humorously called out once again,
I can't hear you.
And the people of the world replied, Yes, 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 oh my God, yes, joining in with his laughter. The illumined ones could now see that their strategy of getting the world to understand the greatest game of all, through the acceptance and knowledge of the greatest game on Earth, was starting to work, but they knew that there was a long way to go and time was running out. They still felt unsure whether humanity was advanced enough for this information, but they remained hopeful, because they knew the catastrophic outcome if the world turned its back on this knowledge. Arif then called out with great excitement,
Would you like to join us in the greatest game of all, where we can become superhuman with incredible powers to change our planet into a paradise, where there is no war, no poverty, no starvation, and no pollution?
The earth seemed to tremor with the magnitude of voices that shouted out from every nation in the world, Yes. Deepak then found himself saying,
Would you like to join us in the greatest game of all, where we can create with our minds whatever we wish and be whoever we desire to be?
And once again their yes was deafening. Zoltan then joined in.
Would you like to join us in the greatest game of all, where we are no longer divided by race and religious differences, but instead are united as one, as a super race of worldians, who have advanced to the next exciting level of life, where we can astral travel to distant galaxies?
An immediate answer resonated back from excited people all over the world, Yes. This time it was Lotus who called out,
Would you like to join us in the greatest game of all, where by remembering who we truly are, we can use the most powerful energy of love to not only save our planet and humanity from self-destruction, but to also create magnificent lives for ourselves?
And a global approval thundered out as if coming from the heavens, Yes, 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 oh my God, yes. This time, the illumined ones smiled, as Arif said,
All of us in Team Galactic have a mission to encourage people from all nations to successfully play this fantastic game of life together. For this reason, we are creating a global One World Love movement, and we will be using our $100 million prize money to get it started.
The crowds in the stadiums all stood up applauding wildly, and billions of people were deeply touched and excited by the generosity of their gesture. But the surprises didn't stop there, because Scythe then stepped up to the microphone and said,
Even though we are known as the bad boys of the competition, we are also deeply concerned about the danger that our world is facing, and so we would like to donate our prize money of $20 million to the One World Love movement. We also offer our services to assist in any way that we can, to help save our planet.
Team Galactic now joined the rest of the world in a frenzied applause of Team World Control, but then everyone became even more excited when Graham announced from the Moscow Stadium.
Steven and I have agreed that we would like to match the donations of our two finalist teams by putting in an additional $120 million. We now know that the greatest game on Earth is but a prelude to the greatest game of all, and the winners of this new exciting game of life will be all of us.
Steven then called out with happiness,
We now have something even bigger to celebrate, so let the party begin.
Once again, the stadiums exploded with fireworks, and millions danced in their homes, streets, cinemas, and stadiums as the world danced and sang with wild abandonment to a new exciting beginning.
We're never gonna stop.